Yeah, thank you, Philippe, and welcome everybody. My name is Bruno Lebeau, and I am the president of the AAGEF Ontario. Welcome to our 6th annual Entrepreneur Challenge. This is a very special year. As you know, this is the first time we're doing this event on Zoom. So bear with us. We've tried to prepare it the best way we can, and I'm sure it will be a great event. This year is actually a record year, both in terms of project submission. We had 24 projects submitted, and in terms of attendance, we had 229 people registering. I think you're joining little by little, but I hope you'll all be here very soon. So this is great. We see that there's a great need, and very happy. I want to congratulate the 3 finalists, Sophie, Rachel, and Mark, for being the 3 finalists. It's already a great achievement. And we're really eager to listen to your, to your project. I also want to thank the whole organizing team. The juries, the moderator, and everybody who participated in, setting up this event. It's a lot of work behind the scene, without further ado, I want to introduce our moderator. So moderator tonight is Jeremy Daveau from Mars Wrigley. So Jeremy has been with Mars for the past 25 years. And for those who don't know, Mars is the maker of M&M's, Uncle Ben's, Whiskas, and one of the world-leading FMCG companies. Jeremy grew up in France, and he has developed an international career. He's held various leadership roles in 6 international markets across 3 continents, in sales, marketing, customer strategy, and general management. And he's now the general manager of Mars Wrigley Canada. Jeremy's is passionate about developing talents for the long-term success of the organization. He's also an avid long-distance runner and lives in Toronto with his wife and 3 children. Fun fact, each one of his children was born in a different exotic country, to name them Thailand, Vietnam, and Finland. Jeremy, without any further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bruno. Give me the thumbs up, please, so I know you can hear me and see me well. Thank you. Thank you, Felipe. Thanks, Bruno, for the intro. So, yeah, just want to clarify, I've seen a few people attending coming from the Mars Discovery Center, downtown Toronto. So I'm from a different Mars planet, which is a chocolate and candy Mars, just to be clear. And yeah, looking forward to be part of this event tonight. And thank you for inviting me, providing this opportunity. I was part of the event last year as a member of the jury, Bruno, and I took away a lot of learning for me personally. So I was really pleased when you reached out to me. And thanks in advance to your team as well for preparing this event. There's a lot of work that happened, behind the scene, and kudos to you and your team to maintain the event this year given the circumstances. So well done in advance. So my role tonight will be to try to connect all the dots and keep us on time and still having a very rich conversation, and paying the attention that we want to pay to our 3 finalists of the night. I will start with going through the agenda first, so you know what to expect. Then I will pass on to Felipe for a bit of the housekeeping technology advice, and then I will take it back from there, introducing you to the jury, and then we will start the presentation for the 3 finalists, and we'll close the night by some rewards winning, and we'll do some networking. In the meantime, the great addition this year also, you have a chance to reflect on the winner from last year. So Michael is with us tonight, and later tonight he will share like the 1 year after experience, and that's a great opportunity. So, and at the networking, when we close the night, you'll have a chance, all of you, to be put in small groups, and it will be rotational. So you will change groups after a few minutes. And if you want specifically to target someone in your networking, you still can do it now. And in the next hour or so, you can send a text message to Felipe Peng, and he will make sure that you are going to the group you are aiming at. All right, so be ready for an intense couple of hours, and enjoy it. Over to you, Felipe.
Thanks, Jeremy. So just two quick housekeeping items here to go ahead before starting really the event. The first one is the speaker view. So that is to make sure that you be able to see the finalists while you're talking or they're presenting. So that's the speaker view that we call. The thing that you should be aware is that if you're using a web version, so if you click the join from your browser option, or if you join directly from your mobile, that's already okay. But most of you, I guess, they joined by the Zoom desktop application. So I'll ask you to do that with me right now. So what you do, you go to the top of your screen and on view options. So click on that. And after, make sure that the side-by-side mode is selected. So there's a check on the side of it. If it's not, just go ahead and click on that. And then on the right top of your window, there will appear the speaker view button. So just go ahead there and click it. And there, when you click, you'll probably just see my video now. So that's correct. And you'll be able to see whoever is speaking at that moment. Okay, and if you want to go back to the gallery view, you can click again on the same place where it's showing now gallery view, and you can switch back and forth as you wish. Next slide, please, Lisa. So I guess no one from, I can see at least here in the participant list, has joined separately on the using phone audio. So if you dial a number and you're using a computer only for the video, you may have some problems in the networking part later. So if that's the case, I guess that's not for anyone, but if that is, just send me a chat, please, and I will give you some guidance on how to fix that so you won't have any issue later on the networking. And in general terms, if you have any difficulty in terms of technology, just send a chat to myself and I'll try to help you. And with that, I'll pass it over back to Jeremy.
Thank you, Felipe. So next, I would like to introduce you to the jury. We have a panel of 5 professional entrepreneurial members of the jury. I can see you have raised the bar. This is last year, Bruno. Well done to you. And so I will start with Charles Losa. I'll give you a quick summary of their background, and I will share also a bit of a fun fact just to make it fun as well for tonight. So Charles is a partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers in a deal strategy team. He's got 20 years of experience supporting private equity funds and major corporations with mergers and acquisitions. Charles has worked in various PwC offices around the world, including London, Paris, New York, and Toronto, where he transferred here 7 years ago to build a strategy consulting practice at PwC. So that was about the serious stuff. Now the fun fact. When he was younger, Charles had a duty, having grown up in France, was to serve his country for 12 months, what we call the military service. And he was a very busy young man at that time, so he tried to be exempted, and he was very successful. The way he did it, he pretended he was a DJ in a club, and as a result, he suffered from significant hearing loss. Well done to you, Charles. I just hope tonight you have resolved your hearing problem, because we expect full attention from you. Thank you, Charles. Good luck tonight. And I will move to Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. So Lisa Matham, very honored to present to you a very successful young woman. Lisa Matham is the founder and CEO of Sayajan company. She was named by Profit magazine as one of the top 10 emerging women entrepreneurs in Canada. And she was recognized by the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce as a female entrepreneur of the year. Lisa is the founder of Sayajan Skincare, which is an evidence-based natural skincare line based on the ancient science of Ayurveda. And I did my search because I had no clue what Ayurveda was. It's a traditional Hindu system of medicine. With Sayajan, Lisa brings together her background from her first venture and knowledge from over 15 years working in consulting and pharmaceutical industry to create a skincare collection that since it's launched has been featured in Vogue Paris, in the Oprah magazine, and Forbes, and is distributed in Canada and the US. And Lisa was the only Canadian to be selected for Sephora's inaugural beauty accelerator. Lisa has a honor Bachelor of Science, an MBA, and a diploma in European business from the ESA Rouen. She's a former instructor with the Schoolage Executive Education Center and a young leader with the BMW Foundation. That's a long resume. A fun fact, she embraced the opportunity of a pandemic by being an expert in binge watching on Netflix and indulging herself in eating oatmeal for dinner. Welcome, Lisa, to the panel tonight. I will move on to Patrick Imbert. Welcome, Patrick. Patrick is an executive vice president of Business France in North America. Throughout his career, Patrick has helped hundreds of French companies to expand internationally and foreign ones to invest in France. He has a passion for entrepreneurship and has worked in the UK, Australia, Germany for 10 years, the US, and in Canada for a total of 13 years, in the span of 3 different decades. You have to share with me your secret, Patrick. A fun fact, Canada is seen as his second home. So this is home far away from home. And he likes it so much that he could come back twice after his first posting in the 80s. The fun fact is he came back to actually marry his lover. This was in 2015. And they got married in 2016. And now they live here with the family. But he's still going back once a while to his sunny Marseille in the south of France. Welcome, Patrick, tonight. I'll keep going with Sebastien Gendron. Many of us already know Sebastien. I think he may have won this event a few years ago, but he was a moderator and I was in the jury. Sebastien Gendron co-founded TRanspod, a company called TRanspod, in 2015. And he brings more than 13 years of experience in leading engineering teams within global transportation firms such as Bombardier, Safran, Airbus, etc. Sebastien has a master's degree in aerospace engineering from ISAE Supaéro and Aix-Marseille University in France. He's now the co-founder and the CEO of TRanspod. On a fun fact, for someone who is involved in ultra high-speed transportation, someone who just signed off a memorandum of understanding for a line in Alberta between Calgary and Edmonton, which will be a breakthrough for his company and for the world in general. His fun fact was about chocolate, and I was actually sorry to hear that Sebastien is allergic to chocolate. So I need to ask the guy behind me to fix this for you, Sebastien. Welcome tonight, Sebastien. And I will finish with Veronique Hamel, if we can move to the next one. Thank you, Lisa. So I'm happy to introduce you to an executive coach, Veronique Hamel. Veronique is the executive director of High Impact Executive and Business Coaching. She helps companies shift their vision and radically fast-track their market growth. She's focusing on amplifying the impact of leadership teams with powerful tools enabling to think and act more boldly at scale. Her leadership expertise comes from executive commercial innovation roles engaging with boards of public and private companies across commoditized, science-based, and novel industries. I think we will satisfy your curiosity tonight, Veronique. Welcome to the panel. Now, I would just like to take you through a small technical instruction. And Felipe, feel free to jump in if I miss anything, but you have a chance to ask questions during the presentation or after the presentation. And we will select some of those questions and we will ask the finalists so they give you a live answer during the night. So you just have to follow the instruction you see on the screen. There's an icon, chat, and then you need to select Christian Osterman. Hi, Christian, who will filter those questions and make sure we can address some of them. Depends on the time we have. All right, I think we are ready to go into the exciting part of the night, which is listening to our finalists. So we will start with Mark, and I'm going to take 2 minutes to introduce you to Mark before he shares his venture with us. So it's an honor to present to you, to introduce you to Mark Elias. Mark Elias is a co-founder and a CEO of a company called Steadiwear. What you need to know tonight before Mark is presenting his, what his company is about is that Mark has actually a background of civil engineering at the University of Toronto. He has specialized in studying the impact of strong wind and earthquake on buildings and hard structure. That's his background. However, from a private standpoint, throughout his personal life, Mark has been exposed to the effect of Parkinson disease and the impact of Parkinson disease and what we call the essential tremor. So Mark has connected the two together. He brought his expertise around building shaking in extreme situations and linked it to his desire to help people who are suffering from a disease. So he looked for application that could link the technical background to a medical use. And I believe the rest will become history very soon. So it's open to you now, Mark, and good luck for your presentation.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Thank you very much for this consideration, and thank you for the introduction, Jeremy. My name is Mark Elias. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Steadiwear, and we develop novel tremor stabilization gloves for individuals with Parkinson's disease and essential tremor using novel vibration damping technology. Sorry, I'm just changing slides here. So imagine waking up one day, not being able to feed yourself, drink a glass of water, or dress yourself. Essential tremor and Parkinson's disease cause debilitating hand tremors that make the simplest daily activities, such as eating, writing, and drinking, a real challenge. There's also a social component to this condition, as tremors very often lead to social isolation and depression. In fact, over 30% of tremor patients lose their jobs or are forced to early retirement due to their condition. To our surprise, there are 230 million individuals with tremors, with essential tremor and Parkinson's disease around the world. So this is the patient journey through the continuum of care in North America. After a diagnosis is made by the movement disorders neurologist, first line and second line medications are prescribed. Typically it's propranolol or primidone, and those medications were actually never designed for tremors. They are anticonvulsants and beta blockers that are prescribed off-label and cause a wide array of negative side effects that outweigh the benefits. According to literature, those medications are only effective in 44% of the population. Moving on to the next line, which is alternative therapies, such as Botox or TENS. So Botox is a class C treatment, which means it has limited efficacy metrics. And in terms of TENS devices, the new Cala neurostimulation bracelet has proven to be effective, but can only be used for 1 hour a day. And finally, there's open brain surgery, such as deep brain stimulation. It's highly invasive, risky, and quite expensive. It's also typically reserved for the most severe patients. So with 10 million tumor patients in North America that spend $6.5 billion out of pocket on medication, physician visits, and care. However, when we start to look at the patient's family and their lost income due to the condition, it adds up to $13,000 per family per year. And that's all out of pocket. And that's why we work tirelessly to develop the Steady1. It's a lightweight, compact, and responsive glove that stabilizes the wrist joint. So it uses our novel stabilizer, which counteracts the tremor, and it's inspired from earthquake design. So our core technology is based on something called magnetic tuned mass damping. So it's, as the tremor begins, our counterbalancing mass starts to move in the opposite direction, and it's controlled with rare earth magnets. So to control the motion of the wrist as well, it's paired with a ball joint that's lined with this smart fluid that's similar to cornstarch in water. So when your hand starts to move fast, it instantly stiffens. We have 2 patent filings that are currently pending with Health Canada and FDA registrations in place. And I'll now play a short video showing John. He's one of our early testers. John has very severe tremors, and he's tried everything from medications to multiple surgeries. And
family history of essential tremor. By the time I got to my 40s, I was as bad or worse my dad was when he was in his 60s. The minute John tried the glove on, the effects were instant and amazing, actually. He was able to write again. He was able to conduct simple activities. It was very emotional, and John was very happy at that time. Just the day-to-day function of being she without worrying about cutting this off. So it's been a real life changer for me. Structural engineering. I learned how to stabilize buildings against.
So in terms of our studies, our 20-patient trial is at the 50% completion mark. So the patients in the trial were asked to go about a mix of static and dynamic activities. So that includes drawing a spiral, as you just saw in the video, drinking with a full cup of water, transferring liquid from one cup to the other. Those are the sort of clinically standard activities that happen in the study. So the trial tasks were done with a freehand, a placebo glove, and the real glove. So our clinical poster was recently displayed at the Movement Disorders Congress. And you can see some of the results on the right-hand side. So it compares the performance of the sham or placebo glove as well as the real glove. And the device shows so clinically significant improvements over sham in 6 out of 9 static tasks and 6 out of 6 dynamic tasks. So naturally, a clinical study with 20 patients in a 1-hour lab test can, only provide us with so much information. So we sold 300 Steady1 devices to early adopters as a beta release, and generating $250,000 in revenue. After interviewing our client base, we saw that 52% of the population experienced significant improvements. First-line medications, considered as the gold standard, are actually effective in 44% of the population. Now, in addition, we actually learned a great deal from our beta release and clinical trial. So the device should be under 1 pound to avoid inertial loading, and it's currently at 1.5 pounds. It should be a 1-step process to don and adjust. It's currently a 3-step process. And we have a sweet spot price point of $500. So we did a price sensitivity analysis with over 900 patients, and 500 was the sweet spot price point. So this is why we developed the Steady2. This is a miniaturized version of the Steady1. So just to delve in a little deeper into the technology and the differences. So the Steadiwear device uses standard rare earth magnets for vibration control, the type of magnets you can have on your fridge or in your house. Now, the problem there is that when you use standard magnets, it requires a really heavy mass, which was a big part of our weight. And it only targets a very narrow range of tremor frequencies. So tremor patients typically tremor between 3 hertz and 12 hertz, which is a very large range. So, we only targeted 4 and 5 hertz. So this is typically seen in moderate to moderately severe tremors. So the key technology development for the second version was we were able to customize how the magnetic fields look. And what that allowed us to do is to create 3 different adjustable modes so that the patient can calibrate it themselves. So the first mode is for mild tremors. The second mode is for moderate tremors, and the third one is for severe tremors. And it can be a one-time adjustment by the patient. So that's the real development between the first and the second one, with a significant reduction in weight. It now weighs ½ a pound. And we're targeting the entire spectrum with a simple one-time adjustment. It's going to be very affordable at $500 with an $80 cost of production. Maintains a battery-free status, and the system is currently patent pending. So we've tested the second version on our proprietary physical tremor simulator. So it's a bracelet you can wear that forces your hand to shake. As the development mainly happened during the pandemic. So we had to find ways to test it in-house. And we saw that a 60% reduction in tremor in a lab setting. So the device is currently ready for a beta study with our client base. As a reference, you typically see a 40% reduction with the medications and 90% reduction with surgery, just to show you sort of where we fall. Now, we conducted a 700-patient survey, which clearly indicated that 57% of patients are unhappy with the current continuum of care. So, and they're actively looking for alternatives, such as the Steady2. Now, with a 70% efficacy, this leaves the total addressable reimbursed market at 40% of the total tremor population, and with a $500 price point, that adds up to $2 billion in North America as a reimbursed market. So now looking at the out-of-pocket market, we saw that 16% of the targets would spend at least $500 out of pocket. So leaving the total addressable market at $320 million out of pocket. Now, naturally, we'll be operating in the out-of-pocket market until the device is reimbursed. And we have a clear clinical pipeline consisting of a 100-patient efficacy study, looking at, in-lab tremor reduction, as well as a 100-patient healthcare economic study where the patients will use the device at home for 2 months. So, improvements in activities of daily living, medication reliance, and caregiving reliance will be measured. So these studies will happen over a period of 2 years, and this will allow us to gather the appropriate evidence to get the device covered by commercial as well as government payers by 2023. And so looking at our business model, it's quite straightforward. So the first step is, outpatient neurorehabilitation clinics. So they're typically associated with the neurology offices, and they'll be used as demonstration sites across Canada and the United States, which will drive traffic to our e-commerce platform. Distribution will be used for USX and CanadaX with an Australian distributor secured and 3 others currently in sampling acceptance. So, naturally, our objective is to implement optimal marketing strategies while conducting clinical trials. So when the device becomes reimbursed in 2023, the infrastructure will be in place to maximize growth. Now, once the device is reimbursed in 2023, naturally the model will gravitate towards neurologist prescriptions. Looking at our next 6 months, we need to manufacture a small batch of 20 units to release to volunteer users in January. We will be replicating the clinical trial conditions in patient homes and have the results independently scored by neurologists. With the current climate, it's the next best thing we can think of. The device will then be made available for pre-orders in March with the supply chain set up and 50 neurology rehab center demo sites secured in Canada and the US. And by August, we aim to have customer delivery, 150 clinics secured with a $1 million seat extension closed, as well as a signed clinical contract. So, we've reached a critical stage and we need your help. We can overcome our next immediate milestones and take our company to the next level. And I'll close with the team. You know, of course, none of this is possible without our brilliant team. So my background is in dynamics, structural dynamics and entrepreneurship. My co-founder Emil's background is in marketing and management. Michelle, our research associate, has a master's in biotech with experience in Parkinson's disease drug development. And we work very closely as well with Sapna, who manages logistics, Leonardo, our designer, and Dr. Hadi and Stefan. Dr. Hadi is a professor at UBC in vibration mechanics, and his student Stefan. I think I just went over time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. It was great. You're on time. Perfect. So we have about 15 minutes for question and answers on this project, Mark. So just be ready for the questions. And I'm going to ask maybe first Veronique to go for the first question.
Hello, Mark. Great presentation. Thank you. And it's tough to be the first one. My first question will be about the IP. Do you have any IP pending? Can you tell us where you are on that front?
Absolutely. So we have two filings, one for the first version technology and the second one for version 2. We mainly filed in the US and EU, and we got, so the response for actually the second version was, I believe it's called Schedule A, which means it's very novel. It's a very positive initial response from the USPTO. So that's sort of where we stand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We have a question from Lisa.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for your presentation. Really appreciate it. It's very interesting work. My question is more about your go-to-market plan. So what I didn't, and I know you're rushed in the presentation, but what I didn't get a sense of is, as you move to these clinic sites, how will you actually generate awareness, generate growth, generate all those things? And one thing that you haven't addressed is, what's the eventual plan for the US? I'm assuming that's the biggest opportunity. So what's the longer term go-to-market plan there?
Absolutely, and that's a great question, Lisa. Thank you for that. So what's happening with the clinics and raising awareness? So the way we're doing that is, on the back end, we actually work with an SEO firm. So we've been doing optimization for over a year with full tracking in place. We run ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on all social media platforms. We also work with a PR firm. So on SEO, we're actually ranked, we've actually improved our ranking significantly over the last year. So on the back end, that's what's sort of fueling the traffic towards the neuro rehab centers. So it is a demo-based device. When individuals learn about us through all online activities, they're going to want to try the device before purchasing it. That's why we need the infrastructure of all the clinics. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when once we raise awareness in the community, those neuro clinics are connected to the neurology offices. So that sort of crosstalk will start to increase the awareness within the neurology community as well. So our initial go-to-market, of course, is to increase our, our online presence, which we've been doing. And we've been nurturing relationships with distributors across the world. Now, the next steps, of course, is to start releasing the units to those clinics and start creating that feedback loop between our digital marketing efforts as well as the physical sites.
This is great, Mark. Thank you. I have a question about the reimbursement and the 2023 date that you have in your presentation. Do you have any plan B just in case you don't have the reimbursement on time? Do you have an estimate of what will the business look like just in case you don't have the reimbursement as planned?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for our reimbursement strategy, naturally, we're going down that path because it's targeting a larger total addressable market, and of course, it's going to be made affordable to everyone. Now, in 2 years' time, we do have Medicare as well as codes in ADP that would fit our device. We've spoken to reimbursement consultants, and there's a good certainty there of that working under orthotics. But if the device doesn't end up getting reimbursed the first round, there's multiple rounds afterwards that you can try. It's sort of biannual meetings. Now let's assume that the device doesn't get reimbursed at all. By that time, it is a price-sensitive market, so we would have the volume to start reducing our cost of goods, reducing our price points, targeting larger volumes, and of course, we would be in multiple geographies as well. So The reality is the reimbursement strategy is focused on US and Canada, but if that doesn't work, we have the infrastructure to scale internationally by that time. It'll be a smaller addressable market, but
still, yeah. Thank you, Mark.
I think we have another question from Veronique, and Patrick as well would like to ask a question. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, Mark, I would be curious to know if you have been able to secure tangible endorsement from lead hospitals, and if so, could you share a bit more about the success about it?
Absolutely. Sorry, endorsements from whom, Veronique?
From leading hospitals or clinics, you know, like prominent North American centers.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, you know, so far, you know, we've been funded by the Ontario Brain Institute. They've made, of course, introductions to multiple, you know, world-renowned neurologists in Canada, including Dr. Phil Przak and Dr. Jog. So that's who we ran our first study with. And right now we're in talks with Beth Israel, as well as, God, it's in Connecticut. I forgot the name of the hospital, but we're currently securing multiple sites for our next study. And, you know, naturally, endorsements from these hospitals are only going to come after the trial results are positive. You know, it's very difficult to get that endorsement, but we are seeing a lot of excitement from the neurology community based upon the first study as well as the beta results. So that's what's been happening.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, hi, Mark. Thanks very much. It was it's fascinating. It's a great story. A question very down to earth. We saw a very quick picture of a lab.
Yeah.
The question is on manufacturing. How did you organize the manufacturing up to now, and how did you plan? Do you plan to do it in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you know, manufacturing was, you know, setting up the supply chain for the first time. That was quite a challenge. So just to provide a little more details, so on the glove side, we're actually partnered with BOA Technologies, and they create this knob that allows for automatic adjustment on the wrist. So they've connected us with their manufacturers in mainland China to make the glove, and we work with we worked for the first version with a manufacturer in mainland China as well. To manufacture the stabilizer. Assembly happened here. Now moving forward, we're looking to relocate our supply chain into North America to reduce logistical difficulties, and because the cost of goods of the second version is significantly lowered. It went down from $240 for the first version to $80 for the second version. We can afford to pay a small premium and relocate our supply chain here, and that's the plan moving forward.
Thank you.
Jeremy, we can move on, I guess.
Go ahead, Sebastien. You have a question? I think Lisa will be next after you.
Okay, nice. Yeah, thanks, Mark. A good presentation. A few questions, actually, not only one. In your presentation, you mentioned that it's not clear regarding pre-orders. Did you get everything ready to have pre-orders to start, or do you have already some?
Sorry, for the first version or the second one?
It's just on the last slide. You're saying March 2020.
Oh, okay, yeah. So for the March 2020 pre-order campaign, what we're aiming to do is actually release the devices to 20 patients and have them try it at home, film some videos, and then we launch the pre-orders. We generate some revenue for. Then we would set up the supply chain and deliver in August. So it would be similar to a Kickstarter campaign.
So, okay, so I guess, are you referring to 2021 or is it done? Oh,
I'm sorry. Yes, I am referring to 2021.
Okay, 2021. Okay, good. I just wanted to confirm that. And the other question is that, do you need a certification from Health Canada in order to sell it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are a Class 1 device under Health Canada as well as the FDA, and we have both registrations in place already.
Okay. Yeah. So I know that it's kind of tricky and challenging to continue the development without being able to actually sell it. And the last question regarding the business model.
Yeah.
So I understood that you're looking at having the ability to be reimbursed by, I would say, social security system and so on.
Yes.
Did you consider leasing the device? Like, just leasing to potential customer, not to get them buying the full amount, but just leasing that few dollars per month?
Well, that's a great question. We did consider leasing it. However, we found that actually all the assistive technology clinics and the neuro rehab centers, some of them do incorporate a leasing model. For us right now with our infrastructure, I think it would be difficult just because when we lease the device and let's say they use it for 6 months and then they return it to us, the infrastructure required to have the device cleaned with the maintenance to have it to be able to lease it to somebody else, I think that would be a little difficult. Now, what we did incorporate is we work with a firm, AFF IRM. So what they do is they create financing plans for the clients. So the customers can pay something like $40 a month for the first year for the device to make it more affordable and more accessible.
Yeah, that's more the model I had in mind. Like at the end of the day, so they own it for sure. They don't have to return it, but it could be easier. And also for you to raise, to have bigger pre-order numbers, and then to allow yourself to go to a conventional bank and get a loan or whatever to need it to kick off the manufacturing process.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay. Lisa, your turn.
Hi, Mark. Sebastien already asked one of my questions, which is around affordability, because I was curious, for the average patient, assuming their age, how they could afford it if the $500 seemed excessive, but you answered that. My next question was just, I know the greater opportunity is the reimbursed market, and I wondered if you had any early data or what the plans were from a health economic standpoint to be able to demonstrate the benefit for the payer to be able to pay for this $500 unit versus, I don't know what the cost is currently for the pharmaceutical alternative.
That's right. So looking at, let's first look at, how much insurance companies and commercial payers are actually spending on medication a year. So the total is $12.5 billion on medication. So it's an 80% copay. So it's a $2.5 billion burden on the patient themselves. So, looking at the healthcare economics scope that we're trying to design right now with some clinical consultants. The first thing we're going to measure is medication reliance. So, with the use of the device, what percentage of the tremor population currently taking medication are reducing their medication intake, or is it extending the lifetime of the medication? So we're looking at that as one aspect. The second aspect would be caregiving required. So you do have other copays that pay for caregiving and things like that. It adds up to something like $1 billion a year. So we're looking at the caregiving aspect as well. How much essentially does the glove increase independence? So now looking at the larger scheme of things. So two pieces of evidence are required to get reimbursement in North America as well as anywhere else in the world. We need a 100-patient efficacy study looking at how much is tremor being reduced in the lab. And secondly, we have to look at healthcare economics and really make the case for the commercial and government payers in the way I described. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And we're going to wrap it up here. I just want to remind everyone that you also have an opportunity to ask questions. If you go to the chat and you look for Christian Osterman, and he will take your question and maybe select it to be asked later on tonight. Mark, it was a pleasure to hear your story and your project and your venture. Wishing you all the best for the rest of the night. And transition to the next story. Thank you, Mark. And thank you to the jury as well for the questions. So moving on to our second finalist of the night, I have a pleasure to introduce you to Sophie Howe. Sophie is the, taking my cheat sheets notes, Sophie is the founder and the CEO of Xesto. And first I'll share you where Xesto is coming from. I got some education from Sophie, and she explained to me that Xesto is coming from a dialect, a Spanish dialect from Galicia, northwest of Spain, and that means gesture, right? So we are still in a world of hand now, but you're going to see we're going to move from the hand to the foot in a span of very few minutes. Sophie has a background in human-computer interaction. I think also from University of Toronto. And as she was studying this exciting world of human-computer interaction, she quickly realized that we had in our hands with, for example, a mobile phone, an amazing technology that we were barely using, or at least not to its full potential for sure. And she surrounded herself by a team of high-tech experts in order to come with a simple application of this technology that we were not even suspecting, and find a way to have an application that would touch on our everyday life for everyone. So bringing complexities to a simple usage. And she found a path there. She explored options, and she found an amazing way to facilitate our everyday life. Even more in a context of lockdown or pandemic. Surprise, surprise. So the stage is yours, Sophie. Good luck.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Xesto, which is a computer vision startup that is also based at the University of Toronto. We're actually, I just saw that we're next door to Mark and his team at 88 College Street. So what we've built is the first, and we actually just launched today and last week, the first 3D foot sizing tool that uses the Face ID cameras in the iPhones. And why we're doing this is because we see that there's a lot of inefficiencies within the e-commerce market and people buying fashion, shoes, clothing online. There's a lot of issues at hand. So one of the issues is the cart abandonment. Every time somebody goes online and they see items that they like, they might impulse buy or impulse intend to buy something, and you'll put something in a cart. 90% of those carts that are filled are actually abandoned. So 9 out of 10 people that put in an item, a shoe, a pair of jeans into their online cart, 9 out of 10 of them just cancel that cart. And 35% of shoppers within the fashion industry abandon these purchases because they don't know how something will fit. They don't have the opportunity to put something on, see if it's a little bit tight, a little bit loose. You know, it's not a nice experience to receive an item, it doesn't fit you, and then you return it. So there's a lot of pre-purchasing buyer's remorse, as I like to call it. So when you're uncertain about the fit, you will lead to not purchasing. So that is a huge issue within the fashion industry. That's $6.3 billion of loss, that is of revenue loss, that is related to just size annually. On top of that, there's the flip side, which is you buy the item and you still don't know if it fits. So you buy it and you end up returning it. What a lot of people end up doing actually is buying 2 to 3 items and returning the 2 or the 1 that doesn't fit and keeping one that does fit. And this is a huge issue in the fashion industry, specifically in footwear, because you're sending an item to people, you're paying for free shipping, often free returns, and about 30 to 40% of all of those purchases are returned. So that's 30 to 40% of your revenue lost on top of what could have been the revenue with cart abandonment. And 70 to 85% of e-commerce returns are due to fit. So that's quite significant. I think in total that equates to like 1 out of 4 of every item. So 25% of all items that are bought online within the fashion industry are returned because they don't fit. So 1 of 4 of every item sold is returned exclusively because of fit. And that's just, we think it's just a shame, and it does not have to be like that. And there's a huge environmental cost as well to returns. Now, 30% of all fashion purchases made in general, or this was actually a statistic from earlier in the year. It's really difficult to find updated statistics from the pandemic. But it used to be 30% of all fashion purchases were made through online channels, and 30 to 40% of those were returned versus the 8% that were made location. Up to 85% of returned clothing are incinerated or sent to the landfill because there's quite a big burden on retailers to make sure that everything's fine. If there's a little scuff, it can't be resold. And e-commerce fashion returns result in billions of pounds in landfill waste and over 10 million metric tons of CO2 into the atmosphere each year, just because people don't know what their size is when they buy online. So what we've built is the first 3D foot sizing tool, and soon full body sizing tool. I don't want to, this is quite loud, so it's an introduction. So what I would like to do is introduce our flagship tool, Xesto Fit, which is a 3D sizing tool that uses the Face ID cameras at home. What we've started was with foot sizing, and we're expanding into full body early next year. We've built a tool that allows customers to access the recommendation system for sizing your feet in different shoes directly from brands' websites. So you would be able to access the app directly from, let's say, Nike.com or Adidas.com when you're looking at a specific product. So you can be recommended in that specific product. The user will open up the tool, scan their feet, hands, or body with the smartphone camera, and we will present a 3D reconstruction and size recommendation based on your personal data. And using a sign-in with Apple or similar feature, will retain your data for future fit recommendations made through the platform on other brands that you'll see in the future. What we do is we process hundreds of thousands of data points and return a 3D reconstruction from just a few photos. The user can extract the size, or we'll provide them the exact size by extracting their size dimensions and optimizing it against the size charts that are provided by the brands or we get from the internet. And what we can do as well, and are going to be rolling this out next year, is a fit demonstration tool. So demonstrating how an item exactly will fit, which is different from augmented reality because it's not live, but what we do is provide you the context of how something fits in relation to your real life dimensions. I actually used our watch sizing app that will be rolled out next year. I used it to buy an Apple Watch because I don't want to go to the Apple store and I needed to know how big the faces would be against my wrist. And a feature that we're really excited about is a size sharing profile feature that allows you to share your foot size or body or hand size with family, friends, significant others, so that they can buy you gifts that actually fit. For the first time, the gift receivers can get their dream items without there being any uncertainty about like, is it going to fit? And we're really excited about that, especially in time for Black Friday and holiday shopping. So this is what the app looks like. These are the 3D foot views that we currently have, like I mentioned, photorealistic, where there's point cloud view, and the measurements that we extract, it's under 1.5 millimeter accurate. And here you can see, this is the app, by the way, that we're launching. You can see over 150 different brands. The recommendations can be made, and you can easily just export to somebody in your phone for them to access your size information. What we're announcing next year and we'll be integrating with companies is our Xesto Fit Quick app that I mentioned earlier. You can access it directly from a brand's website. So I'm looking at a specific shoe that I like and I want to know my recommendation in that shoe. I would open it from that product page and our tool would invoke the size information from the back end and be able to make the recommendation based on you and that product. And once you scan yourself, it's done and you will be able to access it anytime you see our app clip in the future. This is particularly timely because this year, the COVID-19 pandemic very much accelerated the adoption of e-commerce. Many consumers, such as myself, won't go shopping in fashion stores until the pandemic has subsided, and people are very much adopting new technologies to help them shop at home better. And you know, the fashion industry has suffered a significant decrease in sales from the pandemic, but online shopping has been accelerated, they say, by 4 years within these last few months. And people are tending to build these habits that are going to stay for a very long time. So our revenue model is we have free integration of size charts into our app. We want to support as many companies as possible, but we do charge an integration fee to integrate our app clip, which is the instant app I mentioned, into the company's websites. Then after we charge the integration fee, we price per size recommendation that's made from that website. So like I said, if 100 people look at the Adidas Stan Smith and receive recommendations for that specific shoe, then we would charge for that 100 people that use it. We officially launched today, but we were featured last week on TechCrunch, which is a very prominent tech magazine or tech and startup magazine. They featured us on the Friday, and we were on the front page for the whole weekend, and that led to hundreds and hundreds of users from around the world downloading our app and using it. But as of today, we're officially launched with the newest version that is meant to be the version that we were launching for. It's live, so you can use it. As Jeremy introduced us, we're a team of researchers from the University of Toronto. I studied finance and economics, but I have a background in human-computer interaction. My co-founder is doing his PhD in math and machine learning, and yeah, we have a long-term research partnership with the University of Toronto as well as Saskatchewan Polytechnic, and we have very strong scientific advisors from U of T, Stanford, and yeah, so please download our app in the App Store today, especially if you're shopping for shoes this weekend, and next year keep an eye out for body and hand sizing.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, and congrats for the launch today. Super exciting.
Thank you.
So I will ask my partners in crime in jury, and I think Sebastien has a question to start.
Yeah, thank you, Sophie. A great product, and I'm pretty confident that you'll succeed. There is definitely a need, and COVID is accelerating that, definitely. The question I have, and maybe you explained it already, it's really about the database, or how do you interact with the different brands how do you, because, okay, you're scanning the foot or the body of someone, so you have accurate data. How do you do the recommendation on the other side? Is it based on, what's the input you're using on that?
So when we start with shoes and feet, we work with the companies, and there's a few different ways that we can receive the size information. One of them is they use our app to scan the shoe lasts in the factories, and that's the gold standard for us. The second option is we look at customer reviews. So there's many companies that have significant like customer feedback where they say this fit perfect, this fits a little bit large, a little bit small. And the third is we can either like measure it ourselves or use the brand's size guides that they put online.
So do you give some kind of a, not warning, but information when people want to buy anyway one brand over the others? Are you telling them, okay, we've done our homework with that brand, this one is not done, we need your feedback to improve our
we don't have that yet, but we will be integrating that. We don't have that yet, but we'll be integrating. Right now, what's on the app is everything is the official size guides that the companies give. So what we do is we translate the information from their websites to against your data, your foot data.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I can move on if nobody, but I want to give some room for the other jury members.
Thank you, Sebastien. We have 3 in line. Lisa will start, then Veronique, and then Charles will ask question. I think we'll finish with Patrick as well. So lots of questions for you, Sophie.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie, so much for your presentation. I think it's incredibly well needed. I spent 15 minutes today on a chat function with a brand trying to figure out my sizing. So you're speaking to me. So my first question is on the revenue model is based on integrating with brands. And so I was wondering, how will you, or what's the plan for meaningfully demonstrating to the brand that they'll reduce their return rate?
So that'll be done through pilots. And after we do enough pilots, we'll have gathered a significant enough amount of data that we can just present that to other brands that, like with 5 companies that we've worked with of X, Y, Z sizes. This is the return rate that they've seen or the higher conversion rates that they've seen. And then we'll present that to them. And then if they want to do a pilot, we do a pilot so they can see it for themselves.
Okay, great. And my second question is, you know, as a legitimate online shopper, sometimes, you know, I could buy one item from a Lululemon and then go to buy the same size of another item, and there's inconsistencies. So how will you mitigate from that, or does that become the responsibility of the brand?
So that would ultimately become the responsibility of the brand. In that case, what we have seen is that's generally they shift factories. They have a different, it's at least with shoes and with jewelry, it's generally factory based. So we would have them like be responsible for if they change one factory to another one, ensuring that they are able to either gather the information through scanning the 3D lasts, or at least tell us like this, we have made this change, because it's a huge problem for them. So there is an incentive. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Sophie. This is great. This is well presented, and this is obviously a great idea in today's environment. That's for sure. Have you thought about the competition, any other solution out there that exists? And I'm also thinking about, you know, big players like Google. They will probably be interested in developing the same solution. How are you going to compete against, you know, large firm like that who would be obviously, you know, who will have obviously, you know, a lot of money to invest to develop the solution much faster?
Yeah, so we are at least with foot sizing, and we're not in market yet with body or hand sizing, but with foot sizing, we are first to market. We are under 1.5 millimeter accurate. And the competition that we have seen and we've played around with is over 4 millimeters, which is a whole shoe size. So it's significant enough that you can't reliably get the right shoe from the scan, let alone just, you know, not knowing from the website. So with startups, we haven't seen anybody reliably and replicably be able to size a foot. There's a lot of complications, and we've worked actually very closely with a leading foot care brand. So we know a lot about feet. In terms of the large competition, I mean, there's always going to, we have a patent pending, but you know, that only goes so far in the software world. So it's just about building a great enough product that people love it. It's available. We build out the partnerships with the brands, and we have a tool that will be available. It's omni-channel. You can access it from one brand to another one. So it's just about building something that people love.
Thank you. Patrick, you're next.
Yep, thank you. Thanks very much, Sophie. It was highly interesting. I'm not a passionate online shopper. I must say so. I don't use it. I should, but I don't use it very much. You talked a lot about the brands. You talked about Nike and Adidas and everything. Did you do users focus groups as well? And
yeah,
could you help us a bit and tell us a bit about that as well?
Yeah, of course. So as
basically,
I mentioned,
what's the feedback? Yeah.
As I mentioned, we have worked very closely with a leading foot care brand. It's a very recognizable name. I just can't disclose just yet who. And we're going to be rolling out a partnership in 2021. So in collaboration with them, we did do quite a bit of user testing, and then independently, so with that, we did quite a bit of user testing in A, like usability, B, how, you know, the accuracy metrics. So that's where we learned so much about foot mechanics, how exactly it works, how exactly we should be scanning so that we have the most accurate and the best results. And for, what was the other part of the, oh yeah, and then we've also done our own user testing for user experience testing over the last month. We've been sending out the app to people that haven't tried it, doing one-on-one interviews. How does it work? What can we improve? And that's just going to be an iterative process from now onwards. We're always going to be changing and improving.
Thank you, Sophie. We'll pass on to Veronique for a question.
Hello, Sophie. Wonderful idea, wonderful concept. I have a question around your business model. It's a clarifying question. I understand you are targeting users. What about alliances with prominent retailers in starting with footwear? I'm thinking the Nordstrom of the world, you know. Is it an avenue for the future? Or
yes, absolutely. So once we gather enough data from the brands, or at least we gather our own data about the brands, we are also going to be approaching the retailers, because they are very acutely feeling the pain of COVID this year. And this is something that we can also integrate into their websites, as we would be able to with the brands. So if we have reliable enough information for our app, then immediately it would be something that we could integrate into their websites. It just depends on exactly what brands they require, how long it would take for us to gather enough of the information about everybody that they would want us to be able to support.
So from your perspective, if you are doing, let's say, a 3-year plan, 5-year plan, is the direct to user a first step to make sure the tool is perfect? And then will you see a shift in the monetization dealing with retailers?
So we are going direct to user for a few reasons. One is to demonstrate that the technology works. to once people, like I mentioned, once people scan themselves once and see us in the future, then that'll be an incredibly easy sell for them to convert onto a purchase. And so that it's very important for us for a few reasons to have our own app to start. It's also it adds legitimacy to us. When I reach out to companies, it's no longer like, who's this random startup that doesn't have a footprint on the internet. So the app serves quite a few purposes. But in the long term, what we do want to have is a tool that essentially exists in the cloud. You don't need to download an app. You can access it only when you need to see it. So you want to buy a pair of shoes, you see it on the website, and then click, and then your size is right there.
Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one, maybe two questions. So Sebastien, you go first.
Claire is saying no. I'll be quick. Anyway, one question about the privacy. We have been facial recognition have been in the news over and over about, okay, how can we use that? Is it going to remain private and so on? Since you're going to scan the entire body, I'm assuming you've identified that I don't know if it's a risk or challenge, but I attempt to address, I would say. Just wanted to get your point of view on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So privacy is going to be a growing concern for us as we move from feet and hands to body, which would have face in it. So our best solution that we'll have for that is building towards a tool that will process only on the device. So we won't have to see that data for it to be created. And then if there's any issues, or if for whatever reason I can't foresee this exact reason why this would happen, but if companies or if users for whatever reason need to send the data to, like, there's an error and it's not working, then they would consent in, and that would be an opt-in tool so that they would know that they are giving us this information.
Okay. Practical question, did you try other phones? Or is it only with iPhone you try, or with did you try with Samsung and other brands too?
So right now it's only for iPhone, but we are expanding into Android early next year.
Okay. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebastien. I think we're going to close it here, Sophie. So thank you for presentation, for clarification questions. Perfect. And we're going to close it here for now. Stay tuned. You will hear more about us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
And just a reminder to everyone, if you want to ask a question later on tonight to Sophie, you have a chance by chatting with Christian Osterman on the chat box, and he'll make sure he selects one question at least for Sophie later on. Thank you, Christian. I think now it's time to move to our third and final finalist of the night. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Rachel Bartholomew. She's the founder and the CEO of a company called Hyivy. I had the pleasure to connect a little bit with Rachel, preparing for tonight. Another amazing innovator tonight. When she connected, she was actually calling me from Elora. Elora, for the one who don't know, is a small town northwest of Toronto, with a very rich heritage and historical background. Yeah, it's a place that really embracing its history. And Rachel mentioned to me she was living between the house of a farmer and the house of a shoemaker, because if you know Elora, every historical house still has a name of the professional who was living there in a good old time, back to the early 19th century. So you can tell that Rachel is really embracing the past and honoring the past. But as I was, talking to her, I realized she was someone also who's really looking at opportunity to leap forward and embark on innovation to make the world a better place. So she's got this great combination of respecting what happened before, but also looking at how can we, move really forward thanks to a great sense of observation and an appetite to innovate. And she already practiced this innovation spirit. This is not a first round of innovation and entrepreneurial experience. She already had a successful startup experience in a very different sector, in an automotive sector, and she sold this startup already to Canadian Tire back a few years ago. And after selling her first venture, she started to think about what would be next. She came back. She went back to Laurier. She started to exchange her experience with in an incubator. So, looking at the next stage of her innovation journey. At the same time, a dramatic event happened to her own life. She was diagnosed with a cancer. And the cervical cancer, and at the age of 29. So that completely changed, it changed the trajectory of Rachel's life, but it hasn't changed her mindset, because during her treatment, as her body was going through some challenge, as she said to me, my body was not working, but my brain was working 100 miles an hour. So the brain hadn't stopped. And what she's done is she observed, she learned from her experience, from the hardship she was going through during the treatment, and she came out with a very powerful idea to improve life of every woman on earth. So over to you, Rachel, and good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was such a great introduction. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Bonjour. Hello, my name is Rachel Bartholomew. I'm the founder of Hyivy Health, and we create the first intelligent and holistic pelvic rehab device for women with pelvic-based cancers and diseases. So when I was diagnosed this past year with cervical cancer, I found out that I was going to need surgery and radiation that was directly going to impact my pelvic health for the rest of my life. I used this unfortunate situation as an opportunity to explore the problems in the area of pelvic health on bed rest after my hysterectomy and gather medical validation on these issues during my radiation treatments. I actually pitched my radiation doctors while in the radiation machine. And when I reached out for advice throughout my journey, I found out that I wasn't alone. 1 in 3 women are dealing with non-curable pelvic health related illnesses. And there's over 300 million plus women struggling with a diagnosis that directly impacts their pelvic health at any age. We live with multiple symptoms, which can include pelvic pain, incontinence, and scar tissue buildup, just to name a few, which all directly impact our quality of life, day-to-day activities, relationships, and overall well-being. For the 30% of women who do end up seeking treatments, they're given 2 standard of care options to help with their symptoms, including costly pelvic floor therapy and ineffective painful static dilators, which if you could see my video, I actually have one here, and it was created in 1938. So not a lot of innovation going on in this space. And during our own research, we found out that women stopped these treatment options due to pain. They wanted new rehab products to try, and they felt they needed more education on the purpose and the outcomes of that rehab. And as we explored this problem a little bit further, we found out that patient problems were arising from a broken system for treating pelvic health. Clinicians are seeing a 35% increase in demand for pelvic health treatments and only use subjective visual exams with no access to quantifiable data to keep track of patient severity, symptom severity, as well as a data-driven diagnoses to be able to actually provide those. We also found out that patients were left with almost no follow-up by their clinicians on their treatment progress, which is leading to permanent, non-curable symptoms, additional surgeries, and an increase in inpatient visits, which is actually costing our healthcare system over $90 billion in North America. What these women need are safe, trustworthy, and comfortable rehab options, while clinicians need reliable, accurate data to provide more effective treatment for their patients. This is why we created Hyivy Health. We create an all-in-one pelvic rehab system for women to help treat, monitor, and predict pelvic health-related illnesses and their symptoms. Our first product is a consumer device which includes a multi-therapy vaginal wand, patient mobile app, and software portal for clinicians. Our vaginal wand provides 3 therapies from the comfort of the patient's home, including hot and cold contrast therapy, self-lubrication, and autodilation. These therapies are used in combination with biosensors, which we're collecting information on temperature levels, moisture levels, tissue elasticity, and muscle response, just to name a few, providing the first quantifiable data set on the women's pelvic floor and the severity of her symptoms. Our goal is to create a proactive pelvic health system around the patient and clinician, where the patient uses the vaginal wand from home while sharing her data in real time with clinicians. And then for the clinicians, they can review the patient's pain, mental, and physical data, as well as the data collected from our biosensors to make adaptive changes to the treatment protocol based on their data and understand the impacts therapy is having on a per patient basis to provide the most optimal treatment possible. Our expected outcomes from the 140 papers, 15 doctors, 120 surveyed patients, and 225 feasibility tests we have completed and talked to have the potential therapeutic impact of decreasing vaginal dryness, decreasing pelvic pain, and decreasing vaginal stenosis while improving symptoms of incontinence. Our goal is to also provide positive impacts to the clinician by reducing the cost to treat patients and the time to clinical outcomes while improving access to treatment through remote and virtual care options. We sell into the gynecological device and sexual wellness markets, targeting 103 million women in North America and Europe who can benefit from our product. And that doesn't include women who've experienced childbirth, postpartum complications, or menopause. We'll first be targeting the 3.3 million women globally with pelvic-based cancers who are experiencing post-cancer treatment complications. Our pelvic health system is the first fully ergonomic remote monitoring device collecting multiple data sets and connecting patients to their doctors virtually. We're the only device on the market that looks at the pelvic floor and its symptoms holistically using our novel medical approach, has sensors integrated into the device, and is fully customizable for each patient's needs. We sell the device at a one-time charge of $450 with potential coverage from insurance up to 80%. We also have reoccurring revenue streams with our custom lubrication pod refills that are built specifically for the device. And we charge monthly for access to our clinician SaaS portal, which is used by pelvic floor therapists. We're also working on additional modules for the device that can be bought outright. That's both therapeutic, clinical, as well as for sexual pleasure. And we have inquiries for selling our data to research institutions. And we will scale through the recommendations of our product from the 47,000 OBGYNs and 5,400 pelvic floor therapists in North America, who each have the potential to bring a minimum of 100 patients to our platform and look at us as a complementary device to their practices. To get this product to the consumer market, we're working on our FDA 510K and Health Canada regulatory submissions on our therapeutic elements, and we're considered a Class 2 device. And this allows us to be recommended by doctors, which is super important, as well as reimbursed by insurance, which is just as equally important. We then want to use those revenues to help fund the clinical trials we need to sell into the healthcare market with our medical-based modules that we currently have in R&D that will be used in the clinic and used to explore data to make a patient diagnosis. To make this all happen, we have assembled a team of seasoned, diverse, and highly educated entrepreneurs, engineers, and scientists. We collectively have 15 postgraduate degrees, have run 6 startup companies in the past with exits. We're majority female and diverse with LGBTQ+ representation in our 29-person team. And I want to shout out to Leah, Lois, and Hannah, who are in the audience listening right now. Thanks for coming, girls. We're also advised by a number of reputable and respected medical professionals who are focused on providing pelvic health from multiple approaches. And these clinicians have also provided feedback on how they would use our product in their line of work and the impact our product would have on their ability to treat their patients more effectively. And we've been working hard. So we only were established in February of this year. So right at the height of a pandemic, perfect time to start a company. We have a growing waiting list of over 200+ women who want to buy our product and test our product. We have 3 interested pelvic health clinics. We've connected with over 8 different countries. We've raised over $280,000 in non-dilutive grant funding. We're in the process of filing our design and utility patents. We've also signed NDAs with Google for co-creation using our data as a trusted healthcare tester. And we've recently secured technical and pharma partnerships for co-development with large companies in US, Canada, and Europe, including TELUS, BlackBerry, and Zambon. Our immediate plan is to finish our functional device to use to run a pilot study to understand the effectiveness of the fully developed device on the patients while building out our FDA intended use case. And we're looking at a couple different universities here in both Canada as well as in the US for those pilot studies. Next year, our plan is to raise a significant seed round to set up our North American manufacturing and have a full product release with a target sale of 1,000 devices and 500 therapists registered to our software. We're currently ramping up a fundraise for $1.5 million for our seed round, which we will use to file our regulatory submissions, gather the marketing materials needed to build our community around our product launch, set up our supply chain, and continue our R&D on our medical-based modules. And our ask beyond the fundraising and connecting with investors specifically for this pitch is to make connections with anyone who's currently in the audience who has access to manufacturing or insurance, and as well as connections to France, because they actually make pelvic floor therapy mandatory for women after childbirth, which makes them the most progressive country globally on treating the pelvic floor. So that being said, please join us and help us reduce the stigma around pelvic health and help us make women happier and healthier down there and everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. This is great. Again, another great idea, and the quality of the presentation this year is definitely very high. I have a question for you. Have you thought about partnering with a virtual healthcare firm like Dialogue, Babylon, or Akira, for example? These firms are, booming with COVID because people are just consulting their doctors over the phone, and it would be a great way for you to get, big flow of business this way. So either partnership with these firms or insurance company that increasingly embed this type of solution within their benefits, right?
Yes, that's a great, I never even really thought of that. So that is fantastic. I would definitely consider that. We are working on hooking into the EMR system. So we are actually we just secured a partnership with TELUS to hook into their systems, which track all of the medical records. So being able to actually funnel the data from our device into that medical record system. But what we're trying to do in conjunction with that, which is what BlackBerry and Solace is helping us with, they're helping us connect with all of the HIPAA and PIPEDA compliance in place, a messaging system that would allow an actual telehealth session to happen within our app. So something we're already kind of developing into our solution anyways, but partnering would definitely make that an easier process.
Okay, if you're in touch with TELUS already, you're very close to get a partnership with Babylon, because they own Babylon.
Yes,
so.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I think Veronique had a question for you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Rachel, first of all, what a great story of resilience. Innovation based on resilience is the best. So fantastic approach, fantastic attitude. I was really humbled listening to your stories. Also, I have to say, being a director on the board of the Sex Information and Education Council of Canada, I applaud any initiative that put women's health front and center. So it was really interesting to hear. I have a question because for years, specialists, gynecologists are really advocating for the use of vibration items for women to help with those conditions, including menopause. So what is the incentive for physicians for them to recommend your product versus what they are doing right now, which is directing women to use one that they can buy at retail stores?
Yes, so the biggest part, both for the pelvic floor therapists as well as the OBGYNs, is the data piece. So not only being able to provide the therapy from multiple levels. So nobody has introduced self-lubrication, nobody's introduced hot and cold therapy in this space. Dilation is something that is consistent, but just hasn't been innovated on yet. And so, you know, adding vibration into that does help. It helps relax muscles, but it definitely, you know, can be better. And so what we're trying to do is, in combination with these 3 therapies, is bring that sensor element so that we can collect that data. And what we found through our own testing is there's actual data correlation patterns we're seeing that are raising some red flags to say, we can actually diagnose what incontinence is. You know, we go to our doctor and we say, this is, you know, I've peed this much or something on my underwear, and that's not really quantifiable, right? And that's how we've been doing it for centuries. So if we can include the data piece, that not only optimizes how pelvic floor therapists as well as OBGYNs treat their patients, also understands how severe their patients are, and not just from this verbal communication and seeing patients in person. And we all know from COVID, that is something that is directly impacted right now. I know I am personally impacted by COVID and not being able to see my doctor for my checkups. So this is something we want to bring home, bring that data, start to quantify it, and bring some really optimal therapy along with it.
Thank you. I have a second question about the process for reimbursement. Where are you in the process? Can you clarify that? How comfortable you feel with getting traction there?
Yeah, so this is something I've been exploring. The insurance industry is definitely something new to me, so still trying to navigate it and figure it out. I've talked to a couple of insurance companies, both in Canada and the US. We are considered a durable medical equipment. So having a lifespan of up to 3 years, being able to be sanitized, having that rental option in there is something that we should be able to provide. So that will help with the cost. But for the insurance side, what it's looking like will happen is the doctor will prescribe this device. You would have to go get that prescription done, submit through insurance. You would have to pay for 20% plus any of the deductibles that is included in the insurance. So that's what we've been counseled on so far. We do need to have our FDA 510K for the class 2 done, as well as some of that trial evidence. But there's a very strong case on the insurance company side. We pay the largest amount for gynecological surgeries. The next is neuro surgery. So big reimbursement and premium costs here, as well as that data piece, being able to optimize what progress looks like so they know exactly what to cover and what not to cover.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is it me?
Veronique, we have a question from Patrick and Lisa.
Yes. Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks very much, Rachel. It's as Charles says or said, that 3 wonderful presentations. Thanks very much for yours as well. Veronique asked the 2 questions that I wanted to ask, so I'll think of another one. Okay. Because the reimbursement scheme is a very important one, and is a very important one in Europe as well. You spoke about the States, you talked about Canada, and you mentioned Europe, and you mentioned France as well.
Yes.
So you're definitely thinking of going global from the start.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about reaching out in Europe. How did you do it? What did you do? Did you do it yourself? Did you go to Europe through research? Did you go to Europe through academics that help you? How did you do it? And what did you find out? Is that a market for you? Of course.
Yeah.
If I may,
interest, of course.
So if I may, Rachel, behind the scene, Patrick wants to help you actually. So.
Amazing.
I finished like that. I finished by that. I said I have an interest as well, of course.
For sure.
France, it's thank you, Sebastien.
Yeah, so long story short, we actually have a presence in Europe. So Hannah, who's on the call, so shout out to Hannah, shout out in the chat. She's actually in the UK. So she is my head of marketing, and she is helping me establish all of the community and stuff. So she's actually based in the UK, helping me navigate through some of the European challenges. But how I actually got connected to some of the partners we're working with. So the Trade Commissioner's Office is fantastic in Canada, and they had made a bunch of introductions across the globe for us. One of them was in Italy with a pharma company called Zambon. And they are quite large. They've been in operation since like the late 1800s. So they've been around for quite a long time, and run by a female CEO. And they made a connection. We chatted. They were super interested in us. Next thing you know, we're in due diligence with them right now. And so we're actually looking at an investment, and they've been helping us navigate the changeover from MDR to MDD, their regulatory, as well as navigating where should we soft land. So France is an obvious place, but also where else are some of the stigma around what we're working on less, so that we can tackle it. So Germany is a big hotspot as well right now. So they're helping us navigate on top of giving us resources and investment as well.
Okay, thank you. There's at the Canadian Embassy in Paris, there's someone you have to meet, and in charge of the med tech, and in charge of the healthcare sector, and she's been in Paris for a long time, advising and helping Canadian companies.
Amazing, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel, I think I'll go next. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was excellent, and an incredible, inspiring journey. And also excited about the focus on women's health. My original question was also going to be about reimbursement. So we'll step back and ask you another question, which is, okay, if I understood your model, it starts with like a more of a direct to consumer kind of model, and then it moves into a reimbursed format. So in that first entry point to market, are you still relying on the recommendation of the OBGYN? And if so, how do you plan on seeding that information to them?
Yeah, very good question. So, going the direction of the 510K was to be able to get that recommendation to help get that scale. So touching base with the OBGYN's pelvic floor therapist is a mission that we have to get through. So what I've been doing is trying to tackle the associations where they all can join into one area, so that we can start to get that traction and not go office by office. But we are going to need to build out a medical sales team to build out that reach into the OBGYN offices. Luckily, a lot of our traction on the consumer side has come organically. So I haven't been marketing this just yet, because we're still waiting on our patents to come through. And we're getting about 5 to 10 signups on our website per week. So we're getting a lot of traction. Partially, that's why we wanted to go a consumer device and not a device that goes straight through the doctors and is handed out by the doctor. Just because I want to get this into the hands of women, but I also want it to be safe and follow FDA protocol and medical protocol, so that it's better than the options we currently have. There's a product on the market right now that's seeping. It's a cold pack that inserts in a woman's vaginal canal, and it's seeping blue goo, and they're just like, oh, don't use it every day and you'll be fine. Like, that is the standard we're currently at. And it's like, how did we get to this point that we allow these things to get through the market? So yeah, I mean, part of it is I really want to get it in the hands of women, but I also want to make sure that doctors understand the effectiveness of it. So
thank you very much.
That's the goal. Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Lisa, for asking. I think we're getting close to the end of the session, so we still have room for a question. If anyone in the
may I have a quick one regarding what's the main challenge as of today, Rachel? What's the main one? I'm looking at the ask at the end, like seed funding, connection to manufacturers, and actually connection to France. So France, I think Patrick can help definitely.
Yeah.
And any other the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
Oh gosh, so what challenges don't we have as a medical device hardware company, right? So I think, you know, finding that manufacturing facility within borders is a big one. And I know Mark had also presented that as well. It's something that COVID has pushed down our throats, is to be able to bring things back into Canada and focus here. So finding those manufacturers is an interesting one. I've never been in this space before. Navigating regulatory approval is something that's new to me, ISO, QMS, all that. So understanding what the requirements are and setting my team up and my product engineering up for success with that is a big one. Manufacturing a product. So I think the biggest goal right now is to get a fully functioning product in hand. And this has been tough through COVID. I mean, we just started this in February, and we've had to do a lot of handoffs and back and forths between injection molding and that kind of thing. So COVID presents a big challenge there. Other than that, yeah, I think it's just, and stigma is a big one in this area. Luckily, I haven't run into a lot of it, but I know it's out there and I know it's real. So just navigating that and how to make the consumer more confident in us, build that respect with our community group, and
more,
yeah, and make an impact.
I guess it's more than access to funding.
Oh yes, 100%. I mean, funding is something that we will navigate when we get there. Right now, we still have a pretty good runway. So it's just a matter of, finding the right investors.
Great. I think Veronique has probably a last word to share with us.
Yes, Rachel, it's not so much, it's a question, but also a comment. I happen to have launched several vibration items for Trojan, lifestyle, etc. So I quite know the manufacturing issues around it. I'm curious to understand, what is it behind your desire to have the manufacturing, you said, in North America? Or because currently all those vibration items come from the toy industry, and it's really in China, and they are so good with pricing and technology. So I was curious to understand, in your business model, what is behind the desire to have manufacturing in the Western world?
Yeah, so we are sourcing our components. So a lot of our electronic components and pumps and mechanical elements do come from China, and we're sourcing from offshore sources. We want to have the housing and molding, specifically because we do have industrial design patents that we're filing on that, and our design is very novel there. It's really a protection of IP in the manufacturing space, and making sure that it's somewhere where we can monitor and protect, as well as having the assembly here for quality control. I also want to have that stamp of made in Canada or made in the US on this product, just because there's a big stigma in this area, and I'm sure you understand that products from China could be lower quality. And a lot of miseducation is out there in the sex toy world about how products from China have porous materials and can spread infection and all the rest of it. So that's something that it's partially a marketing and consumer perception play in combination with controlling quality and IP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Veronique, and thank you, Rachel. I think it's probably time to wrap up and to move to the next stage of the event tonight. First, I would like to, say a huge thanks to Mark, Sophie, and Rachel for sharing their stories, sharing their project, and hopefully inspiring all of us on this call. So thank you to the three of you and your teams who are attending to the call. Great job so far. Now the pressure is going to be off of your shoulders, and we're going to move it to the jury. And our 5 jury members are going to be sent into a breakout room for them to make a tough decision to reward the jury award for tonight. And so we'll give them a few minutes, and we're going to use that spare time to continue the conversation with the 3 of you. And we will be selecting a few questions we have received from the audience. We will ask you those questions, and then the audience will be given a chance to also vote in order to reward one of you, with the jury award. All right, I think I was clear so far. And so we're going to send the jury into their breaking room, which I think is happening right now. Great, the joy of Zoom.
It's done.
Thank you, Felipe. And so next, I will check what are those questions. Thank you, Christian, for sending over. So we'll go in order probably of the night to give Rachel and Sophie a bit more time to breathe. So coming back to Mark with a Steadiwear project. Question for Mark: do you have opportunities to help patients with other diseases like MS, ALS, or FTD?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, with the first version during our beta testing, we actually had a few clients who had multiple sclerosis as well as ALS. The thing is, you know, right now our initial development was focused on Parkinson's and essential tremor, but we are slowly realizing that there are applications in other movement disorders, and that's certainly going to reflect on our next clinical studies. Yeah.
Great, great, Mark. I'm going to shoot for another question before going to Sophie. That's a good one here. Is the all part of the IP provided to the suppliers in China? And if so, any fears of the design being copycat or reproduced?
Yeah, we did have those concerns at first. Now, the way we structured our supply chain, we actually work with multiple manufacturers who are building different parts of the device. None of them get to see the full picture. They send it to us and we assemble it in-house. So we're really protecting ourselves against any sort of you know, copycat activity, as you said.
All right, thank you, Mark. We might get back to you if we have time, but for now, I will move on to Sophie and Xesto. You ready, Sophie?
Yeah, of course.
Good, good. Question number one, do you have any plan to adapt the scan to children's size?
Yes, yes. So we actually have tested on toddlers' feet before, and it did work, but it's not calibrated right now, so don't try it on your young children. But that is definitely a big market because kids need to try on their shoes.
All right. Another practical question for you, Sophie. Mm-hmm. Does it require a phone with facial recognition, or would it work with any camera on the phone?
So right now we do require the Face ID cameras because they are a 3D camera. It's a entirely different setup of a camera. But going forward, that does seem to be the gold standard for every device that comes out. So within a few years, that's going to be the majority of smartphones that people have in circulation.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. You're starting with the iPhone, but we'll expand.
Yeah.
Time. Thank you. Okay, I will we'll come back, all right, if we have time. I just want to make sure we ask questions to the three of you. Rachel. Rachel, question about the device.
Yeah.
Does it provide therapeutic treatment as well as diagnostic
Yes, so 3 therapies: hot and cold, dilation, and lubrication. And then the diagnostics are in conjunction with those. So moisture levels, temperature levels, and pressure levels as well.
Okay. Okay, Rachel, I don't have a second question, but I have a recommendation for someone in the audience.
Okay.
Seems to be knowledgeable here. Rachel, talk to Hello Health. This is a physician business angel network.
I have a meeting set up with Justin shortly. So yes, I'll be connecting you with them. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And I just want to remind everyone, if you want to ask a question, it's not too late. Go to the chat box and ask Christian Osterman, and he'll flip me over the question. This is live, just following. Okay, a question for Mark. Let's go back to Mark. Is the device washable? Can you wash the device for reusage?
Yes, absolutely. So the way we designed it, and especially with the second version, I do have the glove prototype here. So this is the glove itself, and the stabilizer would be attached to it. It's currently with a designer. The facilities over there. But the way it would work is you detach the device, and then this can go in the washing machine and the dryer, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, so moving from one device to another one. Sophie, so we understood that you would look at generate revenue from the brands who would pay for the service you offer. Can you, maybe you touch on that, but there's someone asking, is there any other source of revenue you're looking at?
So our other sources of revenues, so it's mainly brand revenue. So whether it's a proof of concept for a very specific requirements that they might have, or the integration costs, it's always brand oriented. At one point, we might look into doing like the big data analysis on all of this data that we'll have. How can we help companies make better products? That's going to be a very interesting spin-off that we'll offer from our product, because we'll know so much about consumer insights and what, who wants what they actually require, and how can we then use that information to help companies make better products for their customers.
Yeah, it makes sense. If someone had another idea about source of revenue for Xesto and Sophie, please, share, and we will pass on to the team. One last question, maybe for you, Sophie. So we understood you already approached Nike, Adidas. Can you tell us more, if you can, about their response, their reaction so far?
So Nike and Adidas, they both thought it was very interesting. So Nike, they think it's really interesting, but they tried developing something in-house. So there's like a team there that has a lot of, it really doesn't work, and it requires like a piece of a mat that you stand on. But when, like internally, there's quite a bit of pushback because they invested so much time and energy, and they're not so excited by like a better tech than what they've spent so much time making. Adidas thought it was really interesting, but they just thought that we were too early at the time. This was earlier this year, and I think that once we start to see a scale, buzz about our tool within the fashion industry, that will be very exciting for them, I hope. But if anybody has any introductions to fashion companies or footwear, clothing brands, please let me know.
Thank you. I think interesting, Adidas, they think you're too early until they realize Nike is already on board.
Yeah, I need to get Adidas, Puma, Nike, Skechers. We have a very large one that we are talking with, so that will be, I think that'll give them the kick that they need.
Okay. I just got a text message from the jury saying we are not ready, so you give them a hard time to pick the winner tonight. Question for you, Rachel. So we understood you want to go global. So do you have a global trademark or IP?
No, we don't. So we just have a Canadian trademark right now. So yeah, that'll definitely be something that we'll have to do.
Okay. Okay, good. I think we're doing well on time. I'm just checking if there's any more question. Maybe your last one for Mark, I just came out. If you can, if a few words maybe to ask, to address this loaded question. What is your founding strategy?
Sorry, my founding strategy, you said?
Yeah, How you found Steadiwear?
As in, how did I start the company?
Yeah, do you have a strategy to to keep the funding going?
The funding strategy. Sorry. Yes. So so to date, to date we've done we raised $1 million close in Canadian in a mix of grants, a safe, and a convertible note. So that level of funding over the past 4 years sort of is allowing us to reach to the product market fit stage. Now, moving forward, our funding strategy, we're nurturing relationships with multiple investment groups, a mixture of angels and VCs, and we have very specific milestones we have to hit. Then, the next piece of funding is $1 million seed extension. That'll take us from product market fit to scale, and then we can go for a Series A after that.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Right, I think we're gonna leave it here, and the next step is we will ask the audience to voice their opinion and vote. So it's highly possible that Mark, Sophie, and Rachel, you're being kicked out of this for a few minutes. It's just because to let the technology works, and then we're going to move to the award. So Felipe, is there any slide to show about the award, or can I just introduce the process?
You can introduce.
Great, thank you.
There's no specific slide.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, so each of you on the line, you will see a pop-up screen coming, and you'll have a chance to, here it comes, I think. So this is for the audience award. I see it live in action happening just in front of my eyes. So Felipe, when you feel that we have enough, then you give me the go. Before we move to the next session with Michael. Okay, I saw a thumb up. So, so thanks everybody for participating in the vote, and we will do the reveal a bit later on. But before we do that, we wanted to go back to a year ago, and we did invite Michael, who was the winner of last year. So, Michael, thank you for joining. Really appreciate you take the time. Great to see your face again, and you bring us back a year ago with a fantastic story, again about innovation, bringing technology into the medical world and bringing back dignity to the patients in hospital and emergency rooms. So you definitely made an impact on me on that night. So we're going to hear a little bit about what happened to you for the last 365 days. For some of it, I think we have an idea because we've been sharing the same type of life for a few months. But we want to hear more about how the project went. So I'm not going to spend too much time introducing you. You'll do a better job than I do. I just want to share with everyone with you're a big fan of Veronique, and I'm sure June the 13th of 2019 will stay for the rest of your life, as it did for us. So over to you, Michael, and take a few minutes, please, to bring us back and tell us where you are now.
Surely. Thank you for the introduction, Jeremy, and thank you very much to the AAGEF for having me back here again. It was an absolute pleasure being a part of this competition last year, and I'm really happy to have attended today and listened to these amazing pitches. Really, 3 fantastic ventures. I congratulate Rachel, Mark, and Sophie. You guys did excellent today. So just to give you guys and the rest of the audience a little bit of background, last year I attended the competition and I pitched on behalf of Able Innovations Inc. That is our startup. And what we're doing at Able Innovations is we're taking the exciting technology of today, advances in robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and we are applying these technological advancements to solve a pressing problem in healthcare, which is the problem of transfer. This refers to lifting and moving immobile individuals who are no longer able to bear their own weight. Now, this is a problem in several settings, in healthcare facilities, in long-term care homes, and in private residences. In hospitals, this creates a large amount of costs through the amount of injuries and labor that's needed to transfer. And in private homes, this is actually really quite a tragic problem because often older adults and individuals with impaired mobility need transfer assistance, and it no longer becomes practical or feasible for them to age at home. So they're forced to be institutionalized and they don't have the chance to kind of spend their life at home in the presence of their loved ones. So Able Innovations is actually developing an advanced and intelligent method of lifting and moving individuals that requires no physical effort from attending care workers or family members. And our goal is to really improve the quality of life and healthcare outcomes, both at home and in facilities. First, we're going to solve that problem in hospitals, which is solving the problem of lateral transfer. And then later on, we're aiming to actually develop an intelligent wheelchair that'll solve that in care homes. So when we pitched for the AAGEF last year, we're quite a young company that was founded in 2018. And we just had an alpha prototype of our Delta platform, which is about 1/3 scale. And we were just beginning a preclinical safety evaluation with our partner hospital, Elizabeth Bruyere in Ottawa. When it came to how the company was funded, it was completely through founder investment, as well as a very important support from NRC IRAP. And we had a team of about 7 full-time employees and partnership with just that one hospital. Now, since then, we've actually been able to make a significant amount of progress despite the challenges that COVID-19 has presented to all of us. And we are now at a point where we passed our preclinical safety evaluation with great results. And the support from our partner, Elizabeth Bruyere, was so significant that they've signed on to be our first pilot partner beginning in Q1 of 2021. So we're now building our beta prototype of the Delta platform, which will be lifting and moving humans. And we have plans to test that out just starting in a couple of months. In addition to that, we signed on 2 other hospitals, which we can't disclose right now, that we will be performing pilot studies with beginning in Q2 of 2021. In terms of grants, we actually were able to partner with a host of universities. We had a partnership with Innovation York, and by using researchers and professors from York University, we actually made those first steps towards integrating machine learning into our device. We had support from OCE, the 5G Encore demonstration program, which actually allows us to make those first steps to making this a connected device that can speak to other devices and hopefully become part of smart hospitals that are built now emerging. And we also received significant support from NRC IRAP once again, which was a large grant funding of up to $300,000. In addition, after the momentum from the AAGEF, we were able to win a few more competitions in 2020, which included the Age Well National Impact Challenge. And we also won the University of Waterloo Accelerators Velocity. They have a pitch competition for health tech firms. And we were able to secure our first little bit of investment by winning that competition. So that was great. And we also won a competition from the Ontario Bioscience Innovation Organization, which really actually helped quite a bit. All these competitions, in addition to AAGEF, helped with our fundraise that we opened up in about mid-2020. Basically, these competitions are a fantastic way to raise your profile and make connections. You have a fantastic opportunity to connect with people who really emotionally see the value in your venture. And that's really one of the greatest things that has resulted from AAGEF was the response we got from the audience. That was incredibly encouraging. People really identified with our mission of improving the aging population and improving the healthcare system. As we all age, we are going to face these problems that are kind of out of sight, where many of us are unable to lift and move in our own accord. So it was really great to have that support and enthusiasm from the AAGEF, and really launched us into an exciting 2020. And most recently, I'll just wrap up, which our fundraising has been going really well. We're currently raising our $1.2 million seed round, and we have about 85% of that closed. And so we're looking forward to closing that within the next month and For 2021, we have really big goals. We'll be commercializing our Delta platform and looking to connect with US facilities, as that is our target market. And for anyone in the audience who is really encouraged and excited by the company, I encourage you to check out our website below, because we do have a few more positions open right now. So anyone, any engineers or business developers who really identify with what we're doing, I encourage you to reach out, connect, and join us in this journey. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Great story and great inspiration for all of us, including, I'm sure, Rachel, Sophie, and Mark. So now is the time. Probably to make the reveal. So, but first, I want to again, on behalf of the association of everyone here on this call, a big thank you to Mark, Sophie, and Rachel. You made it against 24 submissions that we received. So that was already a win, a big win for the three of you. And I hope you'll get some great connections and great takeaway from tonight, whatever the results is of tonight. I think we are almost ready there. I'm just live with our high-tech team in the background. Is there any slide to be shared before we do the reveal?
Did you prepare some kind of music or no?
You're asking me, Sebastien?
Yes.
No. I'm good at selling chocolate. I'm not so great at singing.
That's already quite good.
All right. I can't wait. Really eager to be joined with Bruno, because both of us will announce who are the winners. So we'll start with, I'm just buying a bit of time, as you can notice here. We'll announce first the jury award. I'll take care of this, and then Bruno will do the audience award. Okay, great. So without any further ado, I have a great honor and pleasure to introduce you the winner from the jury. They just took a few minutes to deliberate, and I think they're ready now. So let's see, let's check on that. So, and the winner is Sophie for Xesto. Well done, Sophie. That's the music, Sebastien.
Well
done, Sophie. Fantastic. We were really happy for you. You already have a winning proposition, so that's probably another testimony, for you to believe in your project and in your team. So fantastic, Sophie. You want to say a few words to us? Go ahead. You're on mute. You're speechless.
She can't unmute.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, I'm so excited. Wow. Yeah, it's been a really crazy few weeks. So really, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Everybody did such an incredible job. So I'm actually very surprised that I won. So thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Well done, Sophie. Well done. And thank you for the jury. I'm sure it hasn't been an easy decision. So well done to you.
No, it's kind of difficult. Yeah, definitely.
Good. So I will invite Bruno back, and Bruno will share with us who's the winner of the audience award. Go ahead, Bruno.
Thank you, Jeremy, and congratulations to Sophie, and I would say congratulations to the three finalists. I mean, it's been amazing. Really enjoyed the three presentation. As I said, you're all winners, but yeah, we have to make a choice, and yeah. So as you know, we always we have two kind of awards: a jury award and then the audience award. So now, if we can move to the slide of the audience award to see who won. And congratulations, Rachel, you won the audience award. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Well done. Well done, and it's actually another premiere, because since we introduced the jury and the audience award, usually we have an alignment, and like for example, Michael last year won both, but this is the first time, and it shows how close, how good the quality was, and how difficult it was to make a choice. So. Really, congratulations, and also congratulations to Mark. I mean, your 3 ideas, they really address a need, and we can all relate to that. And I'm really glad, and we're really happy that you were you competed with us, and we'll send your way. Some present, a little check, and some. I understand Jeremy is sending some baskets for the holidays of a few good things that he does with Wrigley, and thanks Jeremy for doing that. So that's it for that first part. Now I'm just going to conclude, before we get on to the second part. We have 1 hour left where we're going to network, and I know some of you have made some choices, otherwise it will be random. So once again, congratulations to everybody. Thank you to Jeremy, to the jury, to Philippe, to Claire, to Gilles for organizing such a great event. It's been wonderful. Happy holidays to all of you. This is our last, this is our final event of the year. We'll be back next year with monthly events, usually the last Wednesday of each month. And if you have some ideas for our events, some suggestions, feel free to reach out, to contact us, and it will be a pleasure. And we were talking that beyond the prizes, I think the value, like Michael explained, are the connection. Sophie was saying, "Hey, Adidas, I think there is someone from Adidas in the audience." So you have to and remember, each one of you will receive after this event the networking list with all the contact details. So feel free to reach out. We know that Patrick can help Rachel with France. I'm sure Sophie will connect with Adidas, and there are lots of other experts. Charles has some ideas. Veronique also is very well connected in healthcare. So I hope that we can bring value, and we can help you, and we'll always be there for you. And without any further ado, back to Philippe to move on to the networking.
Bruno. Sorry, Bruno. I think we just forgot to mention that thanks to the very generous donations, we were able to split the amount we have received across the 2 winners of the night. So I think there is a 400 check for each of you.
Yes. Thank you, Jeremy. So we wanted, those Zoom events, we wanted to keep them free. So thank you to all the benefactors who participated and who sent some money so that we could give some to our 2 winners. So thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. All right, Felipe, back to you.
Yeah, I'm almost ready here. Just give me a second.
Okay. All right. So
you can move maybe to the next slide. Just there's also the contacts of all the finalists in case you want to contact them as well. Oh, there you have it.
Yes. And they will be also on the on the contact, on the marketing, on the networking list, which you will receive by tomorrow.
Okay, just give me one more second.
Yeah, no, take your time. I know, because
we're ready here.
Okay,
so just to let you know how more or less it works, the breakout rooms. We'll be separating you in groups of 3, 4, 5, depends, and for 15 minutes. And then we'll after come back here to the main room, and I'll send you again on another groups for another 15 minutes and so on. If you need any help during this part, there's actually question mark button that you can use to call me to go to the room and help you just in case you need. And 30 seconds before the end, you also received a warning just saying that the time is almost up. Okay, so wish you a really great network, and maybe I'll see you in one of the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Philippe.